And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. We got Connor Hayden back in the fold with us here. Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm loving what we got so far.
Yes, sir. We got kind of hung up there on Nebraska 6.5 win total. For
Well,
good reason, though.
it's exciting to talk about because there is still hope in Nebraska that we can finally get to a bowl game. So that's why we like getting hung up on it.
There we go. There we go. Following up with that, let's talk about some teams that are predicted to win the Big Ten Conference and where these lines opened up, where we think they might move. And let's start at the tippy top. And that's with the Wolverines coming in at plus 175, but right behind them, Ohio State at a plus 200. How do you like that matchup?
Just feels like a 50-50 shot once again. That game is going to be in Michigan this year.
It
is. It is going to be in Michigan. I remember watching J.J. McCarthy sit on the sideline at Ohio State last year after that win. So it'll be in Michigan.
Yep.
You've got to assume Michigan's going to take it. That's why the line's obviously in their favor. I, again, don't like taking it because it feels like a 50-50 shot, Ohio State and Michigan. But if we look at Penn State, what are the odds for them?
Yeah, and I was going to go there. I'm like, if you're looking for a value in a future and you want to, sprinkle a little coin out there, I think Penn State's your value play. I'm looking at a plus 700 right now. And a couple of things I like about the Nittany Lions, they've done it before with Coach Franklin. They've won the Big Ten coming out of the Eastern Division before. So this is nothing new for them. I'm kind of surprised that they're placed behind Wisconsin as far as these initial lines to win the conference.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not getting the respect. Again, they have a new quarterback. Maybe that plays into it. But I love when we can find value in a team who could actually win it. It doesn't feel like a 50-50 play. It feels a little bit more like a long shot, but a team who actually could do it. So Penn State would be my play in the East. What are Wisconsin's odds if they're in front of Penn State?
550 plus 550 is what I'm looking at. I don't know where that line's coming from. Maybe old Whiskey and the fan base are buying into Luke Fickell, much like the Huskers bought into Scott Frost. I don't know.
Well, back to what we were talking about earlier. It's coming in because they think Wisconsin's going to win the West. They just have to be good. They don't have to be great. And if you can get them to win one game after winning the West, one game over Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State, then you got some free money there. That's a lot of value at plus 550. I probably wouldn't take it because I don't think Wisconsin's going to be in year one under Luke Fickell ready to play with the big boys like that. But I do understand why they're the favorite coming out of the West.
Along the same lines there, and I just put up the graphic for those watching on YouTube, Iowa comes in that next slot there at plus 800. Could you use that same type of logic as, look, they don't have to be great. They just have to be good. They have to win the Big Ten West, win the games they're supposed to, knock off a Wisconsin, and then you're in the show. You're in the conference title game, and it's game on.
You could, but in my opinion, they don't have the talent that Wisconsin has, especially on defense. On offense. And I don't think they have the coaching that Wisconsin has on offense. So if you're getting a Wisconsin team who now has an upgraded coach and you're going to look at Iowa team, sorry, so many names, an Iowa team who's coming off a down year where we thought they might fire their offensive coordinator, I've got to ride with the team who's trending up.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you're not buying into the incentive-based pay scale for the offensive coordinator over there at Iowa?
Not at all. I think he's going to fail miserably. I hope he does for Iowa fans' sake.
There's one little discrepancy. Usually when you look at the win totals for teams in a conference, they kind of mirror how the lines are set as far as winning the conference. Minnesota is set to win 6.5 games, the same as the Huskers. However, the Golden Gophers come in fifth with a plus 1,400 to win the conference, where the Huskers are all the way down, kind of the bottom dwellers there, at a plus 2,500 to win the conference. Where does that discrepancy, that big line shift, where does that come from, Connor?
Strength of schedule. So Minnesota has to play some tough games during the regular season. And because of that, their line is set at 6.5 rather than being set at 8. This, in Vegas' opinion, is a better team than Nebraska by, I think, 8 points because they're an 8-point favorite at home in that first game. Obviously, there's some other factors that go into that. New coach's first game, home game at night on, I think it's a Thursday night in Minnesota. So there's some factors there. But in general, it's the strength of schedule versus Nebraska, who doesn't have to play anybody super tough this year.
And we, Jabron and I previous episodes, we've talked about Nebraska winning the Big Ten, that plus 2,500. That's probably money you just kind of want to maybe keep in your back pocket, you think? Or, hey, maybe Matt Rule, drink the Kool-Aid, the Rule-Aid, have some fun with it.
I'll tell you, Nebraska could win the Big Ten. Here's how they would do it. Their offensive line and their defensive line would outperform any of our expectations. They would be the best they've been in the last 5 years, and they would for sure have a chance. Nebraska has really good skill position talent. Their DBs are fantastic. Their receiver and running back group together is pretty good. They're going to have something at tight end now that you got Thomas Fidone. I'm hoping that their offensive and defensive lines can improve a little bit. And if they do at all, we're going to see them go above that 6-win mark and potentially compete for the West. So if you believe in the line play, then take a shot in Nebraska. But if you're more hesitant like I am, then maybe stay away.
It really is interesting where you're looking from top to bottom as far as the Big Ten West goes. You got a bunch up at 6.5 there, Northwestern at 3.5. They're the bottom dwellers. But Nebraska, Minnesota, Illinois, all at 6.5. Then Wisconsin's a leader at 8.5. So only a 2-game difference from top to contenders. You don't see that in the East. You got your clear-cut favorites, and then you got the rest. But that's not what's going on in the West.
Yeah, in the East, you have great teams, you have good teams, you have average, and you have bad. So you can see the difference between those in their win totals. Whereas in the West, you have a couple good teams, a couple average teams, and then maybe 1 or 2 bad teams. But outside of that, all those teams kind of look the same. Anybody can beat each other on any given day. You're not seeing that when Ohio State goes and plays at Indiana.
Right. They could have just a horrendous game, but still win by 3 touchdowns.
Exactly.
Type of a deal there. Well, hey, we mentioned it earlier, Connor. You are the creator of Crazed YouTube channel, nearly 20,000 subs, coming out with content every week. A lot of fun there. I think every Husker fan that is on YouTube is fully aware of you and what you do. One of your latest episodes or videos was talking about Heisman favorites. Us being a sports betting show, that caught my eye. I had to watch the whole thing. And I took some tidbits out of there I want to question you on. Can we do that?
Of course.
All right. You broke it down to like 3 different segments, and long shots, contenders, and favorites. Let's talk about those long shots. That's kind of fun. And this was one that I think makes a lot of sense. Tanner Mordecai, plus 12,000 for Wisconsin to win the Heisman.
I love those odds. I will take those all day long. I don't understand the Tanner Mordecai disrespect. I have heard some people say, oh, he didn't have a good spring, and oh, he doesn't look like the quarterback that he was at SMU. I don't care about any of that. It's spring. The guy is coming off back-to-back 3,500-yard seasons. He's been at Oklahoma. He's been at SMU. Now he's with an elite coach in Fickle at Wisconsin. His OC is Phil Longo, who developed Drake May. I don't understand plus 12,000. Is there something I'm not seeing? Is there an injury I don't know about? Maybe, because it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of disrespect there for a QB who's going to throw it a lot, who's going to play on a team who's favored to win the West, and has an elite running back right next to him. So I love plus 12,000.
It checks a lot of boxes. Like you're saying, they're going to get the wins. Most Heisman winners have to play on a team that rack up the wins. He's a proven quarterback, and he's going to have a strong running game at his disposal with Wisconsin. I think a lot of it has to go back to the bias of Wisconsin just has questionable quarterback play over the years. Even when they're great teams, going to Rose Bowls and stuff like that, you could still put a big question mark by that quarterback position. I think that's what's going on there with Tanner Mordecai.
I would guess so. It's the Wisconsin QBs of the past, but this could be a Russell Wilson situation.
Right.
You have a real quarterback come in. They have a new coach. They have a new look. It's not the Wisconsin that we're used to seeing. I think people are getting hung up on that. I've got a lot of comments on some of my videos. They're saying, oh, Wisconsin's going to come out and throw the ball a lot. That doesn't work in the Big Ten. Just look at Nebraska last year. Yeah. It works with the right OC, with the right offensive line, with the right quarterback and some receivers who can catch the ball. It works.
Yeah, heard a buzzer there, so we're up against the horn there, but we're okay. We're going to keep going because we are cooking. I agree with everything you say there. I love me some Mordecai at that odds as well. And, yeah, I think people kind of forget about old Russell Wilson and that magic that they had that one season. It was like, if you can insert a quarterback that has a vertical passing game, some crazy things, good things can happen for your offense.
Yep.
Then you had contenders, and this was a little bit surprising to me. I had to raise an eyebrow. I actually went and checked on 2 or 3 books to make sure I had this number right. Nebraska quarterback Jeff Sims at a plus 6,500. That is the line. Jeff Sims, when you walk through it, talk through it, maybe you can convince me, but man, just reading it, hearing it, what's going on there?
Jeff Sims is an elite athlete. He's kind of like Anthony Richardson from last year at Florida. Anthony Richardson had pretty decent Heisman odds as well. When you have a guy who can do it all with his legs and he can throw it a bit, he's going to rack up a lot of yards.
Yeah.
The only issue for Nebraska, in my opinion, is that he's not going to have the wins he needs to be considered. And you put him against guys like Nick Singleton and Travion Henderson, who both have the exact same plus 6,500 odds, and it does make you scratch your head. But like I said, you have Jeff Sims who can run it and pass it. He can rack up a lot of yards. Nick Singleton and Travion Henderson aren't going to be able to do as much of that because they're going to have quarterbacks who throw it all over the field. So it's a lot of respect being given to him because of how much or how big of a piece he is to that offense and how much they're expecting him to do next year.
And you can see a path where, okay, if Nebraska accidentally wins 7, maybe 8 games, and not even wins the Big Ten, but goes to the Big Ten championship, and he just performs well. He looks good. They don't get blown out by Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State. You could see that path to him getting invited to New York for the ceremonies at least. Favorites, well, let's start with J.J. McCarthy. Michigan plus 3,000. I don't know what more you'd want out of a Heisman hopeful than the Michigan quarterback heading into this season.
Yeah, runs, passes. He opened it up towards the end of the year last year. I think the only issue with Michigan is they love to run the ball, and they've got 2 great running backs they're going to have to give it to. So JJ's hurt a little bit by that, but on the other end, Corum's hurt by that as well. So
right.
I like Michigan's chances to get a Heisman because you have 2 really good players who obviously opened up as favorites. But it's going to be tough because they're competing against each other. It reminds me of the Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush days, and it ended up being kind of the Reggie Bush show after Matt Leinart learned his role and USC figured out we can just run the ball down their throats. But who knows what Michigan's going to do this year. The run game didn't get them to the national championship last year, or didn't get them to win the national championship last year. So towards the end there, they might have to pass a little bit more. We'll see. But I do like Michigan's chances to get at least one guy to New York.
That is very interesting because both McCarthy, the quarterback, and Corum, the supposed number 1 running back, they both have 3,000 odds plus 2,500 odds depending where you're looking. Another quarterback, Kyle McCord, is actually out in front of these guys at plus 2,000 on a lot of sports books. And you mentioned like he was in a little bit of a quarterback battle maybe in the spring. Why is his odds so much better when he's not even a for sure starter for Ohio State?
Who are the 2 highest receivers in the Heisman odds? Do you know their names? Marvin Harrison Jr.
One of them.
And Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah.
So you've got the 2 supposed best receivers in the country on his side. I mean, it sounds like free money because the quarterback's usually the one to win it. When you have 2 elite receivers who are going to make big yards after catch, I mean, why not take a shot on the guy who's coming in with the best talent around him?
Yeah, you get to throw a 5-yard slant pass, complete it to a wide open receiver, turns into a 40-yard touchdown. Pretty good deal for the quarterback of Ohio State.
It's less about the quarterback and it's more about what's around him. You've got Ryan Day, you've got the great receivers, Travion Henderson's plus 6,500, and they've got Mayan Williams back. They have a great offensive line. They have the defense to win them games. I mean, come on, plus 2,000 makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you only have $5 left in your pocket, in your bankroll, whatever, who are you picking right now as your Heisman favorite, regardless of odds or who it is or where they're playing?
In the Big Ten or overall?
Yeah, let's stay in the Big Ten.
Yeah, in the Big Ten, I'm probably going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. for fun. If I had to say who I actually thought would win it, it'd be Kyle McCord. But that's not any fun. That's the favorite. So let's say Marvin Harrison Jr.
I like that a lot. He also, I was thinking about him earlier. He has the name, and that goes a long ways. Like it's already built in. He's at Ohio State. A lot of things there to like about Harrison Jr. Hey, Connor, we mentioned it earlier. You also represent BroThrow, a new sports betting platform. You also help out with a lot of their YouTube content, their YouTube channel. For folks that don't know what the heck that is, could you give us an elevator speech here? What's going on with BroThrow? What is it exactly?
Yeah, so for context, I live in California, and just like Nebraska, you can't bet on sports here legally. So I got approached by a brand last year called BroThrow. They're a sports betting platform that allows you to bet with other players around the country. So you sign up for free, you get all the lines for straight bets, and you can play money lines and totals, but just one game bets. You go on there and you use Venmo, Cash App, PayPal to pay each other, and you just make your bets, take the spread, and you're good to go. You can set your lines, you can set your odds for money lines. And yeah, it's been a great tool for me to be able to play on that's actually legal and acceptable to use without having to go through my bookie. Now, the other part that a lot of people get excited about, it's even odds. So there is no juice, there is no vig. You save a lot of money over time. So if you would have bet, let's say $5,000 over the course of the last football season, and you broke even, you would have lost 10%. So you would have lost $500. But when you play on BroThrow, you would have saved that juice. You would have ended up making a little bit of money. So yeah, BroThrow has been a lifesaver for me. I've won a lot more on BroThrow than I have when I've played in Vegas, played on any sports book online. So yeah, BroThrow has been a life changer for me.
Yeah, a lot of pros versus cons there when you talk BroThrow. And I just caught you talking about it a little bit on one of your previous videos on Corn Crazed. So Connor, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you, both at Corn Crazed and BroThrow?
Yeah, so if you want to sign up for our BroThrow, you go to brothrow.com/GBR. You can sign up. That puts you directly into our Corn Crazed group. So you'll be able to see other Corn Crazed members, what they're betting on. You can play against them. If you want to find my YouTube channel, it's just youtube.com/corncrazed. It's simple spelling, and you can find me there. So
I think if you go to YouTube and just type in anything Huskers, you're going to pop up pretty quick there.
Type in Nebraska football, and one of my videos will show up pretty quick.
That's awesome. You've done a fantastic job across the board. Connor, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Don't go anywhere, folks. This is WTL.